Welcome to the Transform Tales, the podcast where we explore the power of change in our lives, our work, and the world around us. I'm your host, Brooke Addis, and in each episode, we'll be chatting with inspiring individuals about the pivot points that changed everything: career leaps, personal breakthroughs, community revolutions, and the tools and technology that made it possible. We're diving into real stories behind transformation, turning your what ifs into what's next. Miles, thanks for being on the Transform Tales today. Can you please tell the people who don't already know a little bit about yourself?
I am Miles Mufuka Martin, co-founder of Relai, co-founder of VSB, and retired / washed up student athlete.
Some of the best people I know are.
Yeah.
Talking about myself. No, I'm kidding.
Youngest of two.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you think, back when you were running around on a soccer field at a much younger age, that you were going to grow up and be a founder?
Not once. Not once.
What was the dream? Astronaut, doctor, something off the wall?
There were no dreams.
Okay.
And I mean that in the least morbid way possible. Didn't know what I wanted to do, didn't know what I wanted to try, and for better or for worse, I was like, I have a great relationship with my parents. I said, let me just trust what they have laid out, and I'll change when I think I have something better. But until then, let me just do what they recommend. So it was like, do well in school, pretty solid reader and writer. So they were like, yeah, I think that fits into like being a lawyer. And so I was on that lawyer path for a hot second.
Okay.
But then I found Relay. Along the way, looking back on it, there were like clear business moments where it was like, it's probably not going to be a fit for you. Like enjoying school.
Okay.
But I am a risk taker in the fact that I have to 100% believe in what I'm about to commit to. And I don't look back. I'll spend tons of time scrutinizing and making the decision. But once it's made, very rarely do I go back and be like, I shouldn't have done it.
You're all in.
Yeah. I'm pretty easy to commit.
Tell me how Relay started.
Relay was Relay started, the first idea started summer of 2019. My co-founder and I, we met in an internship program in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And in these internships that were clear indication to me that I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but gosh, if I have to be on the corporate treadmill, I'm going to go mad.
Okay.
And so it was just a summer of spitballing things, trying to figure out what's reasonable, what's approachable, does the timing make sense, blah, 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 blah. Just a whole bunch of questions. We ended up going deep into a rabbit hole on one particular question. We didn't know it was supply chain rabbit hole. No idea. We asked why do we wait for things? And we're like, oh God. No idea.
Yeah.
But we kept investigating the area, finding new gaps, learning new trends. And ultimately, after like being in the rabbit hole and learning a couple of different like major friction points, Relay split out at a couple of different pivots and whatnot. But started in the summer during undergrad and transformed into maybe we should try something in this general space and see what happens.
And you're doing that now.
I'm doing it now.
So tell us all about Relay and what you're doing and what problem it's solving for people.
So Relay is building hyperlocal infrastructure, and I'm willing to break down what the word hyperlocal and why infrastructure and why that makes sense. But the interface that people interact with is we have a physical device that has a bunch of different compartments, and you use your phone Open a door, you can put a physical thing inside. You can come pick it up later or send a link for somebody else to pick it up.
Okay.
That's it. The use cases of that, massive, right? Like you buy so many places, but more obvious examples are for Facebook Marketplace. Don't go meet a stranger at their home. It's just dangerous,
Just be safe. Yeah.
and there's tons of data around that, but don't go meet a stranger for an online purchase. Have them drop off the item in the compartment if it fits. Text them a link. Now you don't actually have to, because the dangerous part is meeting the stranger, going to their house, going to a random parking lot.
Yep.
And depending on who you are, the alternatives are you bring your biggest, scariest male friend, um, uh, or go to a police station, which is uncomfortable for a lot of people.
Yes.
So, and then the other example I often give is you're at a concert. You don't want to bring your bag. You don't want to lug your bag around all event. You just store my bag. So those are the cases I use to explain like what the interaction is like. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, we just open a door. Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
And
tech is better when you really simplify it. Like,
yeah, you're like, we just opened a door and made something easier for everyone. Well,
mhm.
in this process, what areas right now are you in? Like local to where we are in Pittsburgh, other parts of the country. Where are you people using this?
Yeah, we have a handful of cities online now. Pittsburgh is one of them. That's where we're headquartered, but also in Atlanta, in Richmond, Virginia, in Austin, Texas, and just installed a new one this morning.
Wow.
Um, yeah, it was the first one where I wasn't physically me or my co-founder weren't physically on site for the installation, and so it's like the closest thing I can get to the feeling of dropping your kid off at daycare for the first time.
Okay.
The closest I'll get to it for the moment. But that one was in Iowa.
Cool.
So, number of different cities, each primary and secondary use cases typically depend on the location, which is dope. That's part of the hyperlocal part. We open doors, people can put what they want inside, but that depends on where it is and where in your own life, like, you need it.
Are each of the hyperlocal locations right now all the same size? Are they different based on what?
They are different.
Okay.
They are different. We have a standard configuration. Uh, we have a standard configuration that has about 18 doors, and then we have a half size for smaller locations, that's 9. But it can be like Legos. I think that's the ultimate goal I'm looking for. How do you really make it more modular? So, if you only need 2, you can have 2. If you need 40, you can have 40.
Yeah.
They're 100% battery powered, so we can just add as many as we really need,
Wow. All right.
and as the space can hold.
And can they be in or outdoors?
Yes.
Okay.
Inside, outside, they're pretty doable. They're pretty durable, and we've tested them in pretty extremes. The Austin sun in the summer,
Yeah.
Pittsburgh snowy winter. So we had a pretty solid idea, and more or less, the batteries last about a year.
That's awesome. In my head, when you started talking about how you can adjust the size for different things and different, I'm thinking of like festivals, pop-up events, things that aren't permanent
Yep.
but need that sort of thing. Is that an area that you guys have tried to break into, or do you think this is more of a people know it's going to be there?
No, I think that's where we're gonna grow into.
Okay.
The reason why that's not more mainstay right now is just selling that logistics cost.
Yeah.
If you have a week event, removal and placement, because these things are not permanent fixture, but they're still a half ton. So it's not casual, and you have to make sure you have the right personnel and training so that people can do that safely.
That makes a lot of sense.
The system can move, but it needs to be rigid enough that it's still a safe option in the first place.
I love that. Oh, so it, even as of today, still growing in more places.
Yeah, and we have certain indicators. So if one location is underperforming, okay, we look up and nobody's used it in 2 months. Cool. Pick it up and put it someplace where it will get some use. And that kind of changes an inventory demand where I don't always have to go put more devices outside. Maybe I can better manage the actual network currently. And that's just um, being founders, growing up in a very environmentally conscious environment, being me and my co-founder running a business post quarantine. So we're very aware about, okay, what's actually like a fulfillment lead time if we have to go get more metal. So all of that was intentional to account for those.
I'm just thinking of there's just so many uses here. This is I'm sure you're like, "Yeah, Brooke, I got a list of like 20,000 things we could do with these." Um, how are you finding the spaces to set them? Like, is that a permitting? Are businesses offer like, that's the one thing that I'm very
Yes,
interested to know.
that is fluid and that will continue to change.
Okay.
So originally, me and my co-founder, we went door to door. Our first city was Richmond, Virginia. We knocked on every door we could and just asked the person who answered the door. We put it here. That's the bare bones. Go outside and ask.
Okay.
Now, to answer your questions about permitting, um, depending on whether or not we put it inside or outside, proximity to a building, how much of the sidewalk can we use, that is also hyper local.
Okay.
So even in Pittsburgh, who owns the building and whether or not they have authority over the sidewalk,
Huge.
it varies neighborhood to neighborhood, borough to borough. And then you have other things about what does our device classify as or an existing permit schedule. Some parts of the country, the closest permit schedule is a gumball machine. In others, the closest permit would be a vending machine. In others, they consider us something closer to like a park bench.
Okay.
Yeah, so that unclear landscape is very similar to, like, city bikes or shared scooters of regulation doesn't have the language explicitly for this yet.
This is so new.
Um, we're a bit more predictable, so it's not as tough of a decision because, like I said, they're a half ton on average, so nobody can just pick up and go ride this across town and leave it and throw it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so it's not that type of, like, permitting risk. However, there still are no current categories for that.
Oh.
So we tend to work a lot with private property owners to make sure we have that authority, especially in these outdoor locations. But we have a couple of city pilots in the works so we can navigate where permissions start and stop and how business owners feel if the city says I can put this here because they own the sidewalk but not the building. Managing that relationship to be like, hey, we should probably get approval because the implications are immediate.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Do you think that there's a possibility because you're, piloting different cities that you'll be part of maybe some new permitting rules? I mean, that would be different everywhere, but
That's the goal.
yeah.
That is the goal. And rethinking how we back to the infrastructure definition, right? If all of the use cases matter on location, if the rules for where we can put it matter on location, and then it's semi-permanent yet fluid. Yeah, I think we're way more adjacent to being an infrastructure consideration than anything else.
What data are you guys collecting from your devices? Is it like average use, length of I'm sure there's a ton of data points.
Yeah, what we find most important, sheer volume of opens,
Okay.
right? How many times does a door swing and open? And specifically which compartments are being used, and we're noting the size and then the occupation.
Okay.
But right now we charge more or less like a prepaid model of you'll reserve 2 hours and you have to go use it before the 2 hours expires,
Okay.
right? So think timer instead of stopwatch.
Got it. Yep.
So, like, playing around with those things. So how long it's occupied, how long people are choosing to select for that occupation, um, the number of opens, where it is, who's using it, because this is where users doesn't really become like a generic API that matters, like a key indicator that matters for us. We're outside a church. Church has like 3 or 4 users, which is cool. It's all donations,
Oh, that's awesome.
right? And
Yeah.
so they might open it up a lot. And so now they're power users at that location. But if I were just make a blanket across the network to be like, yo, the number of users matters, that might skew because what about that use case? As opposed if you are an event venue, then yeah, it probably will reflect the type of crowds you're bringing in. But imagine your event venue in a middle market, you have a lot of repeat customers. So now maybe the repeat users matter more than the sheer volume of unique ones, right?
Oh,
So we're keeping track. We're keeping track, and that helps us make the network breathe in and out so we can relocate. Just using the event venue as like a clear um, visual. If you're an outdoor event venue here in Pittsburgh, okay, you get like 60 days of events. What are we gonna do for the other 300 days of the year with your device?
that's true.
This is how we're starting to think it. Is there an eternal use? Maybe not even the event. Maybe you use it for storage for the event, but then what if all your events are on the weekends? It gets lost and found after.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
So that type of primary, secondary use case is what we're saying. What's the anchor, and then what's the next thing that makes the most sense?
It also feels like there's specific industries where things are like highly sensitive, internal things passed along. Like this could be very beneficial.
Hmm.
Um,
I can't talk about those.
I was gonna say, I'm sure that's something you can't talk about, but I can also see, all the spies passing there. I'm just kidding. You know what I mean. Um, well, with Relay, what does success mean to you in this company as a co-founder?
Yeah.
Like where are you headed? What is success when you started and you guys had this idea where you are today? I'm sure success was one thing. Like what's it look like going forward after today?
Yeah. Yeah. There are a lot of new buckets I didn't have because um, I joke with my co-founder all the time. His name is TJ. Um, a joke, but it's real, which for better or for worse, we have chosen to devote our 20s to do. Right? Like that's the trade-off. It's financial, it's emotional, it's physical. Um, so we've decided to try the best we can. So um, success for me looks like one, there were 4 or 5 hypotheses about Relay that I wanted to prove. I wanted to see if they were right or wrong. So success is being able to say, yes, they were right or wrong. The bets I was making when starting. Tested most of them. There's about 1.5 left.
Okay.
1.5 left. So seeing where they are. That's one area. And then the other big one is I really want a very visible and obvious success metric that I can share with everyone who supported me. That's dollars. That's a certain level of notoriety that can open doors. Right? If I'm outside of every major area here in Pittsburgh, if I'm a part of that real estate thing, and now I can be like, hey, XYZ is now possible because Relay opened that door. That's become way more important to me at this point. Like all of the people who have supported me to get this off the ground. Relay is hard. Relay is so hard. And all of the things we've had to accomplish that could independently be their own very big businesses.
You're doing it together.
Gosh. Just knocking them out, right? We have trying to address the hardware question, building the software question, addressing the locations question. And so, all right, you have hardware, you have software, you have locations. Great. You haven't gotten any customers yet. So now you got to get the customers. Now you got to keep the customers. And now you got to make sure that they'll pull out their credit card and use it at some point, right? So those are the two things that come in mind is that there are things that personally I'm curious and want to see if they're wrong or right about what I think about the world. And then the second is I want something obvious that I can give back to the community that supported us.
That's awesome. I like that you had two metrics there of what it felt like. So thank you for sharing that. Um, in your business, is everything being built in-house by your team? From hardware to software, all of it, right?
No,
Okay.
no. Um, that is a moderation question. Redundancies are important. Like I said, we jumped down the supply chain rabbit hole. And so do we build all of that in-house? No. Do we build a portion of all of it? Yes. Does that portion change based off of macro economic circumstances? Of course. We have a capacity to execute all of our supply chain if need. I think that is largely a consequence of being post-quarantine founders. Businesses that weren't able to execute 99% of their supply chain to some degree no longer exist. And so that was very intentional. Be like, yes, we should use suppliers. Yes, it's okay if they're our primary resource, but they cannot be our only. Across the stack, we cannot have one hardware provider. We cannot have only one technology running our software. We cannot have one cloud compute
We
provider.
just saw why. We just saw why.
We can't have all of our stack running on the cloud. If you're doing 100% of anything, you're probably doing it wrong. Balance is key. I'm not saying that balance is always 50-50, but it's really rare if it's ever 100-0. Really, really rare. So that's what I have tons of edge compute opinions and what to do on premises versus cloud. I have tons of those opinions.
Well, that's a whole we can get into
Yes.
it.
Yes. And this week is very loud as I watch people be like, oh no, my stuff is down. I was like, mine's not.
You're like, yeah, actually, check that off my box. Proven. I can make it when this doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hope that was one of the check boxes because that'd be good. As a founder, what is the hardest thing? Taking away COVID, because I'm sure that's not a great time to decide to start a business. That's, again, a whole nother conversation, which, look, you learned something that maybe other people wouldn't have learned had it started a few years before. What is the hardest thing that you have to deal with on the day-to-day within Relai, working with your co-founder?
The hardest thing is communicating, if at all, the progress. Like I said, in Relay, most people will only ever interact with one or two exchange zones for one or two reasons. If you never ran church donations, you'll never use an exchange zone outside the church for donations, right? Like that's um, you have to figure out so many different components and pieces of the business that will never be acknowledged, never need to be acknowledged, but they're still necessary for the thing. So defining progress and communicating progress and obstacles to people outside my co-founder and I is so difficult. Even to our significant others, there's a level of who else will ever have the amount of context that TJ and I have to understand on some. It won't be personal, but how can I tell you about us drawing on cardboard in our intern dorm in Washington D.C. thinking about, no, I think this might work. No, I think that might work. And how that moment still influences how we collaborate today when talking about, oh no, we need to update the package. For us, it's all been one long journey. But we've met people, lost people, met new people, lost people, like all throughout. And being able to responsibly communicate that while maintaining expectations, tough. Tough. And it's a type of risk tolerance too. Are you, as a founder, are you okay with people not understanding? Is that a deterrent? If it's not, it might not be for you.
How have you guys been funding Relay up until this point? Or has it changed since the inception? Because I'm sure it has.
It's a funding question.
Yeah,
We have funding on hopes and dreams.
Perfect. So you're a true founder.
Gosh. Yeah, no external funding. So TJ and I are our two co-founders. We have two other partners that put in money at inception, but weren't interested in operating. But to be clear, the cash put into the business so far is about 50 grand. Now, that's the cash put in to start the business. Those are the dollars we've been able to manipulate to get anything off the ground, and that's also fundamental in how we shape the business. So all of our unit economics are positive because they have to be. No cash. We made a couple of very bad decisions along the way. So there's a lot. There are some dollars spent of that 50 where just there was no ROI.
Just had to do it. This happened. We learned.
Why are all my mistakes so expensive? Like,
don't start keeping track of those.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, we've been self-funded, and then in the process of those mistakes, we have a couple of like external developer partners that didn't work out, and so lost dollars there, and to such a degree that PJ and I decided to start our own development firm. Just like in the middle of building Relay.
We already don't have enough to do, so let's take on something else.
We saw what was around us. We started to sell it. It was like we're meeting tons of startup founders. They're all asking to build products. We have no key recs that we can give to other people about who we trust. Can we kill two birds with one stone? We need the cash. We've learned a lot. We're willing to learn more. Who needs a night's sleep anyways?
So how far into Relay did this second epiphany, big, let's start a second thing to be self-sufficient happen? Was it quick, or it obviously took some learning?
No, it was after we finished our first version of the software. We looked at each other. We're like, yo, if we don't have a product that can actually use hardware, doesn't matter. Doesn't actually matter. So we were willing to go broke building our first product.
Okay.
And then that happened. And there was like, okay, now we need cash so we can actually get this in people's hands. And that was when that epiphany occurred. So it was right after we built our first product set. We were like, all right, let's lean into this so that we can test our product in market. But now it's its own beast. Which is cool to watch too.
Do they still play together?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes.
But it's its whole own set of challenges. Good.
Not really. Yeah, my business is super simple.
And you like it.
It's cool. I like it because it's such a good change of pace for us as operators, because Relay is a harder business to build. The development firm is not venture scale, just like many service-based businesses. And so having that moment to be like, all right, we're not crazy. More importantly, we're competent. We're competent operators. For us to go off and do something and be like, all right, cool, this is not venture scale, simple business model, clear ICP. There are no questions. If I want to know how to run a development firm. I can Google it and watch a YouTube video.
That's what you were doing.
Yeah. What? I can Google it, watch a YouTube video, ask a meeting with 20 other people who have done it within 50 miles of me. That's not the case for Relay. And that's just, part of the trade-offs of innovations. If you're doing something new, you have no reference points.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's cool. It was helpful. And it was also a confidence builder. We are good operators. This challenge is just hard. We need to embrace how long addressing that learning curve is going to be.
Wow.
Ooh.
I don't think anyone who would describe themselves as a founder gets into whatever their big idea is and goes, you know what? I have a second one at the same time, at least. I feel like that is a very unique path the two of you are on, you and TJ. Would you agree? Do you run into a lot of people that is happening? I know a few founders, and I feel like two things at once is not the norm.
Hey, I am grateful because I have an excellent partner who supported me through a lot of this, and I have an excellent co-founder in TJ who's been able to. We're not the same people. We have complementary skill sets, but man, do we match each other in pace and in intensity. And I don't think that works. I don't think I'm anywhere near it if I don't have TJ also being like, yeah, I'm cool to learn something I have nothing and I know nothing about and do this other thing that I also have nothing about. But if we do both of them, man, we'll be so much better on the other side. Just lucky that happened. That's it. I'm just super fortunate that happened at the timing that it did.
It's just incredible that I just still can't get just two completely separate different beasts that you're just both. The fact that you're doing it together, I think, is what's so incredible to me, because
it would have been so reasonable for him to be like, no, I'm not doing the other thing.
He'd be like, Miles, I have enough to do. And I'm, gosh, good. I'm glad to hear it.
We're both humanities students. So when we're talking about true, bottom up skill sets,
this is it.
I had no engineering context. I had no engineering context at the start of this. Everything was shaped and needed to be like, all right, we have no dollars. Dollars aren't coming. We still want to do this. Now what?
Made it work. Figured it out.
That was, and at any point, it would have been so reasonable to be like, this is a lot for so little right now. I should stop.
In your 20s.
Yeah, because our counterparts are off enjoying their first and second jobs, building their own routines and lifestyles. And they're like, oh, cool, you're still doing the startup thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's some other context to be like, okay, yeah. And then they're like, oh, are you still doing the startup thing? Do you need some help? Like, oh, you're still doing it.
We're still here.
We're still here. Oh, you aren't impacted when you get dozed or anything. It was like, oh, the AWS outage doesn't actually throw off your workflow. Like, all those early bets are. That's part of the game. You make some really hard, difficult bets early for an outside payoff later.
In this time that you guys have been building Relay as well, technology has changed. I mean, it's changing right now as we sit in this room, but in ways that we probably didn't think were going to come for 5 more years, and some that we thought were going to be here sooner.
Yep.
Has that been good or bad for you guys?
Oh, it's good.
Okay.
It's good. And that's all part of our own context, which is whenever we make a decision, specifically on the technology side, the question I always ask, can we live with this decision for at least 2 years? If we don't get a chance to redo it, because remember, we're not institutionally backed, and we live with this and we sell this, can we hit all of our other objectives with whatever we choose to commit time to? What that does is that we make a whole bunch of really intentional intentional tech choices. And so if a new technology comes along, it's not a box. Like, okay, how can we incorporate this new technology and move it forward? And that's how we come with like the back end tool that you just happened upon. We did that for us. To be like, we're gonna push out multiple products. We need a better way to do it with our team size. All right, let's help AI. Let's use AI to help us push out more boilerplate code so we could produce backends quicker. Right? Like stuff like that.
Seems familiar, like maybe you just talked about something like that.
Who knows? Who
M
knows?
maybe. Wow, that's exciting. Good stuff. How has Pittsburgh impacted Relay and yourself as a founder? Like, why are you still here? Hey, I have to ask. They say everybody leaves.
Yes. And I did. I did. I did not start this business here.
Okay.
Um, came back for love. First and foremost, I I I stay around for it as well. We just got our first home together.
Congratulations.
You.
You're welcome.
But people like you, people like Charles, people like Max, um, Pittsburgh this time around for me has become a pretty intentional community. Sure, are there capital issues in Pittsburgh? Yes. Are there founder support issues in Pittsburgh? Sure. However, being able to get in with the timing, the fact that I met you, Charles, Max, Rena, like all roughly at the same time, that's a big reason why I'm still here. To feel like there was a community that wanted me around, whether or not Relay was successful. Because we started Relay in Richmond, not a single time for the 2 years I was there did I feel welcomed. Not a single time.
Hmm.
Um, let alone did I feel welcome whether or not Relay was successful. Um, made a pivot to Atlanta. It was I only felt welcome if Relay was wildly successful. And that type of pressure was major issue for me to be like, well, most startups fail. We should keep saying that aloud so people realize that failure is the norm, not the other way around. More businesses shut down than founders cash out. And like exponentially so. We have to keep saying it to set expectations. And coming finding a community here in Pittsburgh that was like, nah, Miles, we jive with you. And
What do you wanna do? We
what
wanna
do you
support that.
yeah, what do you want to do? We support that. I think it's a bonus that I think people genuinely believe in Relay. I think that's a bonus. But I think if I was like, nah, it's actually, I think I've had enough of hard challenges to overcome right now. I think we're going to put it aside. Like people would support me.
It would be okay. I'd still catch you at the birthday parties.
Right?
It would all be the same.
And I'm a door knocker, right? Like I said, I will come out. I'm not afraid to say hi, my name is. And I hadn't gotten those receptions in the 2 other places I had been.
You know what? I love that because as someone who is from this area, left and came back, it was the people, not the location. And I feel like that's valid in any part of life, but both professionally and personally. So I see it.
And it's encouraged me to do other things like, okay, there are elements that I want Pittsburgh to be better at. But now I feel more enabled to try to drive that change myself. Specifically in the startup scene, I think Pittsburgh does a great job at networking. I don't think it does a fantastic job at working sessions. Where can people come to test out, try, and get expert advice of what is step 1, 2, and 3? And I was encouraged to just build that space myself. No barriers, no paywalls. Just like, hey, let's do it. How much and how often? you want to do it for?
Yeah. How much space do you need?
Space? Yeah, exactly. No paywalls. No like, oh, are you sure? Oh, we should probably circle back 8 times before we start. Ooh, you want to start in a couple weeks? Oh, space is free then. That's it. That was the conversation. And then you pop on Luma and off you go.
Yeah.
Like,
And you're involved with a plethora of things outside of Relay, like within the startup community. I've seen you at What's Your Business Idea? I've seen you at Anvil with Max. I saw you at a Pittsburgh Tech Fest today. I mean, I know you, Charles mentioned last time I saw him, you guys have a meetup started now too?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What is that one? I'm sorry, I don't know the name.
0 to 1.
Okay, yes.
Yep, 0 to 1.
Which is exactly the space that you were talking about needing.
Is I remember one of the things I really want to broadcast is learning is okay. And as a community, when people learn new skills, we should acknowledge their new mastery. Did 17-year-old Miles, who wanted to study politics in undergrad, know how to build an application of any sort? Absolutely not. But does the Miles today? Yes. Validate the growth. And if that didn't have to be a self-guided journey, how much quicker I've gotten to that first mile. And that's one thing I'm really passionate about. The other is like the delay in help. So a big part of the networking events is you meet somebody and they're like, oh, we should follow up later. Well, if the task is small enough, do it right then. If I meet you and you have the connect, that would really make a difference for me. And for you, it's just an email.
An email.
Take 2 seconds. Be like, hey, just give me 80 seconds. Pull out your rectangle in your pocket. Even with AI, go ahead and voice type it or just tell whatever Copilot you're using to write it for you. Off you go. Somebody else's life has changed. So I've been really trying to like break down the delay in help that people receive. I can help you and immediately I pull out the whiteboard. Let's do it. I send you a video.
I am just picturing the mass amount of emails that you get from Charles saying, you can help this person. You can help this person. Is that a bad assumption to make?
That's not a bad assumption. And that's kind of what the build night may have helped with a little bit.
Access to you.
Now I could do it like more than one at a time.
In an organized fashion.
Yeah. But it's both, right? Because
Yeah.
people still live their lives. And that's the other thing. When it comes to helping people out, when it comes to building community, I think another detrimental thing is people believing they only have one thing.
No.
The idea, and you see it when people get protective, be like, okay, I'd have a write-up, let's meet and discuss and game plan. Like strategy is cool. But you see people being really, really protective over their quote unquote network connects. So for you and anybody else, I was like, you should know, like, you do not have one favor. Ask me for whatever you need. I'll say yes or no. And it should not deter whatever your next ask is.
I agree with you fully. Because there are some things you have to say no to.
Yep.
And I think sometimes in close-knit networks, you're afraid to say no. So that delay you're talking about is avoidance. Instead of, hey, I can't do this one, but get me on the next one. We'll talk about it.
Yep.
I think that is the big thing that happens here is people are too afraid of the confrontation of like, oh, I can't help you this time. Like, I won't be present. I can't get you with that person. This person's in transition to another role, so I no longer have that like connection. And you just don't want to say that.
For all the founders that I've worked with, and that's a particular bias, is like me as a founder and talking with a lot of other founders. I wish the majority of responses we got were yes or no.
Not ghosted.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes or no. We get 100. If we ask for 100 things, maybe 10 of them are yes or no. The others are just no responses.
Mm.
And it's not the fact that I want to vilify the no response, it's the consequences of that. It's hard to plan on radio silence. Life happens. People get sick, people get distracted, folks move, folks have kids, like, things happen. But at your earliest convenience, close it. And I don't wanna, like, overstate that, like, it really is. Life happens and things get away from you. It's okay. But don't be afraid that it's like, "Hey, it's been 10 months, I'm so sorry. I
Yeah.
just moved, had a kid, and my dog died." Like, "Oh, that I'm
Heard.
so sorry. Hurt, I get it. That would be crazy." It's okay.
Yeah.
De-risk that, like, let's all de-risk a delayed follow-up.
Like, want this on a shirt or something. Like, I want everyone to know. I wanna wear it around all the time.
Yeah,
It's so because it holds so many other things up.
mhm.
It's not just the thing you're asking for help with. It's the trust you have in that. It's so many consequences of nothing. If they say nothing to you, you're like, "Well, where do we stand? Where are we at now?" Oh, a really good point. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm serious. I feel like sometimes people don't wanna say some of the things that, as an ecosystem, we don't do very well, and that is definitely one of them. I have fallen victim to it and also been on the other side of it where I went out of town and didn't get back to somebody for 3 weeks.
We all do it, which is another reason we should all
Own it.
like, yeah, which is another reason we should all lower the stakes for
Yeah.
for owning up to it. We all do it. It's okay. We all do it.
Let's just get better.
Let's just get better, man.
"Hey, I can't get to you right now. Get you next week. Here's where you're gonna hear from me." Just anything. Anything would be better than nothing. Oh, wow. This is fun. I'm having a good time, Miles.
Good. I am too.
The time flies. It was quick. We've already been in here for almost an hour. Can't believe it. Um, I do have one question, which I feel like is always hard asking a founder.
Mhm.
The person who's listening to this might not have to face a COVID-19 level quarantine situation, which I hope we never have to again as well. But if someone has an idea, they want to found something, they're ready to go. What advice do you wish you would have gotten when you were in that dorm room that might have lit the fire a little bit faster?
Lit the fire a little bit faster.
Yeah. Instead of the rubbing the 2 sticks together or the 2 rocks, like,
Mm.
who was gonna throw you a match?
Oh, wow. Wow, that's a great what would have lit the fire a little bit faster was anybody to say you should start today.
Like, the reassurance of, like, do it.
And I haven't been in this moment to I haven't been in the position to do this for somebody else yet. But hopefully they would say do it with enough context and assurance. It's the attempt. Another thing that TJ and I are really good at is because likelihood of failure is higher than likelihood of cashing out in glory. What can you take pride in the attempt? 99+% are going to fail. What do you want to try? From step 0 to 1, what do you want to try? From step 1 to 2, what do you want to try? If you do any of those steps well, they'll start to compound and you get to make multiple decisions at once. But if somebody were to just tell me, you can start. Back to the delayed advice and help, nobody can really convince me that there's because it's all important context of like, yes, let's figure out how you and your particular lived like circumstances can start now. There's always we all can always adjust, but I see very little obstacles to starting now. How you start is going to change. Actual decision and inflection point doesn't happen.
I hope you get to have that moment with someone where you get to tell them to start. I do. When it happens, I want to hear about it.
I got you.
I think that's going to be good. Well, I really appreciate everything you shared today and our time together. I really had an awesome conversation. I'm so excited for more people to hear about Relay and all the other things you're working on. Do you have any parting words you'd like to leave with our guests? Other than startups mostly fail.
Yeah. Don't forget moderation in your in your attempts to try. None of this world is 100% of anything. So if you ever feel like you're about to do 100% of something, oh no, maybe it's 99. Maybe it's 99. That doesn't make you less committed. That's really that's how I stay grounded.
I love that.
If today's conversation sparked something in you, connect with us on social media. This podcast is brought to you by Transform Labs. We bring enterprise-grade technology, strategy, and execution to your company. From AI implementation to fractional leadership, we help you turn ambition into impact. Until next time, remember, your next chapter might be your best one yet. I'm Brooke Addis, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.